So 100x OG in Bitcoin. We also then called the crash at 117K was when we posted the video, although it was the day before we actually recorded it, but we can't take credit for that small move there. But that is literally right at the top, and that is incredibly impressive. Many are now asking, like, what are we doing now? I know in that video we called for it to fall to its 200 weekly MA, which is roughly in line with its pre-historical highs in the 2021 days, and in line with some consolidation from July of 24. That would be where my target is, and it's still falling. Where's your mind at with this latest fall, Craig?
Well, I think there's a lot of negative sentiment around, particularly over the weekend. And one of the reasons that we made our initial call and predicted the high that was going to fall when it was 124,000, 117,000 by the time we posted the video was all the positive sentiment that was around. Well, I would say the negative sentiment is not quite as strong as the positive sentiment was back then,
Mm.
but I wouldn't be surprised to see at least a short term bounce. But it's a major downtrend. But Bitcoin, you have to say, is in a bear market now. The fall has been brutal, as we
Yeah.
said it was going to be in the video that we posted predicting the fall. We said that the fall of Bitcoin was going to be brutal, and it has been brutal.
Mm.
And I would say it's got further to go on the downside, but there will be short-term bounces. There's no question about that. It's a very tradable market, and but you want to anyone trading this market wants to stay with the trend. And the trend at the moment is firmly down.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's 40% down from when we called the crash. We gave 18 reasons in that video. Definitely recommend rewatching that. And yeah, I think getting down to that, those 50 to 60K levels will be nice for a lot of people. And one thing I'm saying is like also if people disagree with us, I mean, bear in mind we've got most of what we've been saying right. You should also be aware of what the opposite trader is thinking. Like where are we putting our stop losses? That they might disagree with, but that will be where they should be thinking liquidity is for them. So it's
Well,
interesting. People should be listening even if they disagree, is what I'm saying.
the hodlers are going to be in Bitcoin, they say, forever. I don't actually believe that. I think there's a time, even if you bought Bitcoin at under $100, there will come a time where you have to capitulate if it falls that
Yeah,
far. So, let's see what the sentiment is going forward on Bitcoin. I think we're strongly negative
mm,
at the moment. So let's see how far I can go. But there's no when things start falling, it's these falls can be rapid and they can be brutal, and we've seen that in Bitcoin in the last few weeks.
absolutely. Yeah, I'll quickly share screen just to give an idea of the charts here. Um, but yeah, so I mean, we called the crash around this level here, literally on this day here it wicked up. Yes, at a slight small higher there. And then we're looking at the weekly time frame because now we are in proper bear market territory because on the daily we are below all of our moving averages. And we said especially if it gets below the 200 it will capitulate, which is exactly what's happened. Had a bit of a dead cat bounce, like as you were saying there. Got a couple of green days. Let me just get rid of that. As soon as it got above the 9 period moving average, and then it sort of tracked sideways. Now it's falling again, and people are wondering where the heck do I put my buy orders? And yeah, we are sort of wicking a little bit here, a small bounce in line with those wick lows there, but we have been calling for this. I mean, we're not going to try and predict exactly where. I mean, it's good to dollar cost average wherever the price goes, but I think the next level of support has to be on the weekly time frame, which is that 200 weekly time frame there, which is exactly where we bottomed last time as well, and have bottomed, other times here, previously in 2021, 2022. So I'd be, if I was a betting man and I had to bet one big thing in my life, I would say it gets down to here, wicks in line with those lows there, around those previous highs and consolidates around that weekly time frame, and that's where we find our be all and end all bottom, and that's a bit maybe where you do some big leverage trades with a tight stop and to
Well,
be on the weak side.
yeah, you'd have to if it takes out that 200 moving average, then watch out below.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, well, exactly. That could be the end of Bitcoin then, because we're not massive believers of Bitcoin, but yeah, if it got below there, then it's just a totally different era. It's not doing anything that's ever done before. I mean, one quick thing to touch on here is definitely Monero. I mean, we've been when we called the crash in Bitcoin, we were still bullish on Monero and telling people to get into that, and it rose, which was really, really impressive. And you can see
Yeah,
when
it
we
got to
first called it
almost
out.
800.
Yeah, yeah, almost 800 up here. And we had two, these sort of levels here were where I was putting our levels when we were first making the videos here and here. So we were buying around this area. And then we rose all the way up to 800. So that was literally a, 700% move. We've done a video on that already. But this time, and I mentioned it to you, is actually Monero has fallen in line with the very small move down this time round. So from the move on the 17th or 13th of January, we've been moving down on Bitcoin, and this time Monero has followed that. But what I will say is Monero is now approaching that beautiful 200 moving average on the daily time frame that it has bounced off of so many times before as well. So another opportunity, people who felt like they missed the boat when we said to buy this before. There's always good entry points, and we're not really recommending any leverage trading, but like if you're looking to dollar cost average or get in at certain points, you feel like you've missed that. Definitely looking at that Monero area here. If we can get down a little bit more with a couple of green days and a curl up, I would like that. I like that very much. I don't know about you, but I know you're
It could be,
heavier on Monero
although
than
I
me
have
too.
to, I think the chart's not looking great in Monero either. So,
Mm.
you should never try to catch a falling knife. But given that, given the choice between buying Monero and buying Bitcoin, I'd go for Monero.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I think everyone knows that privacy coins have been moving nicely recently. And yeah, it's taken out its all-time highs as you said, good assets always take out their all-time highs. So that is the next target if it does slowly curve. But absolutely agree. Do not catch falling knives,
Hmm.
which is why wait for certain levels, wait for indicators to cross over, and wait for a few green days. Don't catch on just on a straight red day. So yeah, totally
Because
agree.
you can never know where the bottom is. That's why you have to wait for these up bars,
Yeah.
and if you off them before you get it on the long side again, because you never know when it's going to stop. You can look at all sorts of indicators, you can look at sentiment
Mm.
and look at all sorts of things, but you've got to move on market action rather than on what you hope is going to happen.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, that's why also leverage trading isn't a good idea because you can do anything still. I mean, there might be specific news that comes out. But yeah, and then the other what just to help with those falling knives, I mean, definitely that nine period moving average once again, can see how Monero tried to bounce a couple of times here, struggle to close above this blue line. So combination of that green line, the 200 with the blue line, which is the nine moving average. Price getting back above those levels or maybe crossing below and then crossing back above would potentially be a temporary or full on bottom. So I like the look of that. I probably would trade it if I knew how to buy. I mean, how do people actually buy Monero? Is the next question. I mean, how do you buy yours, Craig?
I use a service called is it Monorujo? I'm just going to check
Sure.
the Monorujo. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's how I buy. But there are some exchanges, some offshore exchanges that you can buy Monero through if you want to use an exchange. But Monorujo is an actual wallet that you can store your Monero in, and it's completely private. You keep it on your phone or your desktop.
yeah,
And when you want to sell it again, you have to trade it for Bitcoin first or sell it through
mm.
an offshore exchange that accepts Monero. And it's interesting that, as we said before, Monero is about the only major cryptocurrency that has been banned from most of the exchanges, which tells you something.
It tells you a lot. I mean, we've made very good points, and you have as well. Is like whatever the government doesn't want you to have, that's almost certainly the thing to be going after, and that was gold and silver, and we were calling that for ages.
Well,
I mean,
it's all the things that they can't steal from you, that they don't want you
mm,
to have. They've proven time and time again they can steal your Bitcoin. They can stop you from using your Bitcoin. But they can't
yeah,
steal they can't steal your Monero because they don't know you've got it for a start. They can't steal your gold and silver if you keep it in non-bank locations.
yeah,
They don't want you to have
mm,
all the things that they can't control.
yeah.
So that's all the more reason that you should have them.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been learning that throughout my whole life, but also you can't be the person who says, this is not going to happen to me. It can happen to anyone, and that's one of the reasons why we do have other services on the channel with our offshore stuff and help people not make the same mistakes that I've made and perhaps you've made as well. But you can never be more, you can't insure your house after the event, can you? So
No, no, you
so
can't get insurance after the fire starts. You
yeah.
can't buy insurance, so you have to be prepared long in advance, and you have to be if you're anticipating an event years in the future, you have to start preparing now. And anyone who's in business or there are hazards everywhere. Anyone who's in business or anyone who, even anyone on social media these days, they might say the wrong thing against the wrong person gets sued. I mean, literally anything can happen. You don't want to be sitting with all your money in your local bank account, all your
Mm,
main asset is your house, your stocks and shares in your local broker account, your gold stored at your bank. You're a sitting duck. You don't
mm.
do that, please.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one rule I've broken is been saying like not to hold stuff in brokerages, and that's something that I've definitely made mistakes on before. I mean, had shares stolen by one of the brokerages. I can't remember, they were called Ravenscroft or something in the Channel Islands, but yeah, because I had didn't have the physical asset, they just held it against my will until I obeyed their demands. So that's just something for people to bear in mind. But maybe,
If it's not under your direct control, you don't own it,
yeah,
and that applies to money in the bank as well. That is
yeah.
not money that's under your control. If the bank decide that they don't want you to have it, or if someone freezes the account, it's not your money. So that's why it's so important to have gold, silver, cryptocurrencies in wallets out with the exchanges. You've got to have these
Yeah.
even physical cash.
Yeah. I mean, I still trade, brokerage accounts, and that's something we've been showing there with some small cash that I then will add and take off, but I'm not leaving much on there. But yeah, if people want to benefit from the price action, but don't want to,
If,
or
if,
don't
you
have the
know,
time or the money to benefit
Yeah,
from the
if you want to
assets,
trade,
fine.
you have to have some money in your brokerage account, but don't keep all your money in your brokerage
Yeah.
account.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take your profits out and put them elsewhere.
Absolutely.